All right, hey everybody, welcome to the Budgeting and Credit Repair free webinar we're putting on. This is presented by me, Matthew Morrow, and MorrowInvest.com. We're going to wait. People are going to be signing in here as we go along, but we're going to continue to go on, trying to be on time here. A little bit about me and why I may be qualified to talk to you about tonight's budgeting class. I'm a former financial advisor. I had my Series 7, my 63. I've run multiple businesses over the years and continue to do so. I'm also an active investor and am now retired at 36. So having the ability to write and follow a budget is very important. If you cannot learn to live within your means, it's going to be very hard no matter what the amount of money you have. And so, you know, we see a lot of times, even with like the NFL players and players in our society that make millions and millions of dollars and then they lose that money. Well, majority of that, the reason that happens is because they don't really have a money problem. They don't know how to use money. And so that knowledge that they don't have on how to manage their own money is why they end up broke. A lot of people, and you might feel this way too, a lot of people are going to feel like, man, if I just made another $5,000, if I just made another $10,000, or when I make that next amount of money, then that is going to equal happiness. It's going to equal me no longer being stressed about things that are going to happen in our day-to-day lives. That's really not the case if you do not stick to a budget. Now, it sounds kind of intimidating, and we're gonna walk through this a little bit as we go ahead. But budgeting can sound very strict. It can sound like a thing that you know, you can feel imprisoned by this budget thing. But really, if you learn to embrace it, you're going to have freedom. You're going to have freedom from worry, freedom from doubt. You know, we're going to actually study a lot of Dave Ramsey. I'm all about the KISS method, which is keep it simple, stupid. And Dave Ramsey does a very good job and has already laid out many of the baby steps that we're going to work with. I'm actually not going to talk a lot about credit repair because credit is based on perpetual debt. So by way of you paying off of your debts, your credit score is going to get better by default. So most of the people that come to me have some type of budgeting issue. Mainly they don't write one. they don't stick to one. And so that leads to problems, because when a car breaks, when a transmission goes out, when a major health thing happens, when the loss of a job happens, they're not prepared for what's to come. And so a lot of times people rely on their open lines of credit, whether it be credit cards or a HELOC, a home equity line of credit off of their home, or they dip into their savings, or you know, one of the worst things they could do, which a lot of people have had to do, is dip into their 401k or retirement plans. So those are all very ill-advised, and that is because many times people have not, one, lived below their means, and then two, had a budget that they can stick to. So as we go along, this is not going to be a perfect budget, but we hopefully will hit enough of the high points that you can keep up. I have everybody muted because I don't want people talking over each other, but if you have any questions along the way, feel free to type them in the chat box that is on the messenger there on the bottom right, and I'll see it, and we'll try to answer questions towards the end. That's me right there. I told my friends that all it took for me to look good was 2 weeks of editing, a professional photographer, a great cityscape, a new suit. So thankfully that doesn't have anything to do with our budgeting bills. Let me give you this disclaimer, and I hate that we even have to do this, but you have to do this these days just to make sure that everybody knows. So this disclaimer, the information you're going to receive is made available with the understanding that neither the author, that's me, nor the publisher is engaged or rendering in legal accounting, or real estate service. The information, ideas, opinions, and suggestions contained herein are believed to be reliable, but cannot be guaranteed insofar as they apply to any particular area or individual. Moreover, because of the nature of the material and the fact that the laws are constantly changing, the assistance of a competent, qualified lawyer, accountant, or real estate professional is recommended when implementing any plans or ideas discussed in this book or in this information. The author and publisher specifically disclaim any liability, loss, risk, personal or otherwise, incurred as consequent, directly or indirectly, of the use and application of any strategies or context of this information. This work may not be reproduced, which you're not going to have access to that anyway. And then terms and conditions. Your receipt and use of this information indicates that you understand and accept the terms and conditions stated above. Without limitation, you indemnify and hold harmless me, Matthew Morrow, my company Morrow LLC, my other company MorrowInvest.com, its subsidiaries, any affiliates, and any other persons associated with development and delivery of this information. Isn't that a mouthful? Okay, this is what most of us do with our budgets, right? We say, oh, Lord, please make our budgets greater than they are. I like this one, too. If any of you have been to despair.com, this is some great photos here. This is ignorance. It's amazing how much easier it is for the team to work together when no one has any idea where we're going. And I feel like this is the way most of the country does things. Right now, they just blindly follow whatever trend or thing pops up on their Facebook page, and of course that's not the way to go. I've often said that one of the dumbest phrases I thought I had ever heard was that you could lead a horse to water, but you couldn't make it drink. And as I've gotten older, I've realized that there is a lot of good information out there. There are a lot of financial gurus out there. Besides, not only is Dave Ramsey, but there's lots of talk show hosts and webinars and financial tools on the internet that you can find and use. If it seems that people continually, though, get themselves into trouble, and part of that is because this is you actually have to do something. You're not going to write the magic budget and all of a sudden be out of debt and make good decisions. That's going to take a daily working on your part. I love this. Regret. It hurts to admit when you make mistakes, but when they're big enough, the pain only lasts a second. Right? So depending on how big your mistakes are, I know I've had people come to me crying their eyes out that are only $1,000, $1,200 in debt, and they are ashamed that they're $1,000 in debt. And then I have other people that are looking at six-figure student loan debt. They have a new house, they have a new baby, they have multiple car payments, and they don't seem worried at all. They are $500,000 in debt or near there, and their debt does not affect them. As long as they can make their monthly payments, they seem fine. In fact, if you go buy a new car today, even though everybody knows that a car is going to drop between 28%, 40% in value the day you drive it off the lot, still, if you go buy yourself a new Lexus, you're going to see that they don't quote the entire amount. They don't say this is a $60,000 car. They say you too could drive this for $499 a month or $399 a month. And people say, man, I can afford $300 and $400. And so they tack on that car payment, and many of them just carry that car payment like they would a purse. And as soon as that debt pays off, they get the itch, and they got to get another vehicle. So we're going to talk a good bit over the next few minutes about needs versus wants and what you need for your life. Writing your budget, your first budget is very, very basic. Okay, so you're literally just writing down your bills and then what your debts are. Okay, now different people are going to respond differently to this. Some people are spreadsheet guys, right? this is you. That you want the full Excel spreadsheet with 10 pages on it, and you've got all your calculations worked out, and you might be that person. But I think most people are going to fall into the legal pad, right? You just need to get you a legal pad and write down your bills. Okay, so across the top there, you're going to want to write down your bills. Just write down everything you can think of, and you're going to add to it later. And then let's go here to the Dave Ramsey website. Okay, so if you'll go to DaveRamsey.com, and there's lots of, like I said, there's lots of other websites that do these similar things. I think Dave has some of the most sound personal advice. I don't necessarily agree with his business advice when it comes to certain things in investing, but on his individual basis, as far as most people aren't ready to invest. Most people have a ton of debt, and they can't seem to get themselves out of it. So here's Dave Ramsey's baby steps. Baby step number 1 is get $1,000 in the bank. You want $1,000 in your savings account. Baby step number 2, which I always thought was funny, baby step number 2 should really say giant leap number 2, because that debt, paying off debt part can take quite a while. But baby step number 1 is get us that $1,000 saved. Okay, this is your emergency fund. This is, it's unbelievable to me how many people run paycheck to paycheck and run so close to disaster. You are literally so close each day to just having a fall in the bathroom and breaking your leg, having some type of medical emergency, having a job loss or have your hours cut, be in a car wreck. Something major is going to happen in every human's life about every 3 years. Okay, so you're on a regular basis going to run into life. Life is going to continue to happen to you, and this doesn't matter if you have $1 million budget or a $10,000 budget. The same is going to be true. You cannot get away from life. So life is going to affect you. Now, if you do have more money, it does make things easier sometimes. Okay, you're still going to have bad things happen, and the good book says that the rain falls on the just and the unjust alike. So you should expect bad things to happen, and I'm very much a positive person, but that doesn't mean that you should not prepare. My father used to tell me, he'd say it's not a matter of if it's going to rain, it's when is it going to rain and how hard. So you should expect that at some point your car, even if it's brand new, your car at some point is going to break. You're going to need new tires. You're going to have the brakes wear out. You're going to need oil changes. You're going to need a tune-up. Some major thing is going to go wrong. You're going to have a radiator or a freeze plug or something, air conditioning. Something major is going to go out on the car. In fact, if you'll look right here, on baby step number 2, he says when your machine goes on the fritz or your faulty car transmission. These are things that are going to happen on a regular basis, and you should prepare for those. So if you have no money in the bank, no money saved for emergencies, and I'm not talking about your credit card. That's what most people do. Most people have an emergency, or what they consider an emergency, and they go and they put it on their credit card. Well, your credit card is probably running 29% interest. Now, I have a lot of people that tell me that, oh, well, mine is much better than 29%, and I don't pay 29%. I pay it off every month and all that. Well, that's great, but that's not the average American. The average American does not pay off their. Most people pay their minimum payments, and you are just throwing money away there. Okay, so a lot of people talk about that they feel like they have to have a credit card. That is not the case. You do not have to have a credit card in order to make you know, as long as you have a Visa debit card, or you can even buy prepaid cards, but you do not have to have a major credit card. A lot of people say it's to help their credit score, but credit, again, is a perpetuation of debt. So if you're talking to me, or certainly if you were talking to Dave Ramsey, the goal is to not be in debt. So the goal would be to pay cash for things. I am all about paying cash. You're going to get better deals. I actually work in the investment field in real estate, and when an opportunity comes, I look for cash buyers that can help me to put down money, because that's gonna make the deal that much sweeter than if you go and try to leverage credit and put your name down on the line for a full recourse loan with a bank. Okay, so baby step number one, we're going to get $1,000 in our savings. Now, how can you do this? Well, there are tons of online yard sales. I'm not a big fan of yard sales because I don't like getting up at 5 in the morning, but I know some of you love to rummage through the yard sales. I remember as a kid we used to drive by the yard sales after lunch, and we would go through the stuff that people were putting on the street, you know, back in the day when we were trying to make ends meet. Well, now with the advent of Facebook and Craigslist, people have the internet right in their pocket, right? So it doesn't take anything for you to put an ad out there. I love posting stuff for sale on Facebook, posting stuff in one of these little communities. There's a lot of little community pages on Facebook where you have you know, a local county or a local area, and they will post whatever's for sale there, and you can do a picture, and then you meet people at Starbucks and they buy whatever it is. If you have a lot of things for sale, for instance, like I think one of the biggest wastes of money is DVDs. We spend more money on entertainment and movies, and so people spend, you know, between $10 and $25 for DVDs, right? For the latest greatest movie that comes out, or just for entertainment, or sometimes you know, in the bin at Walmart or Target, whatever your favorite store is, you can, you know, people say, well, I only paid $5 for this. Well, that's $5 that you need right now, okay? So you can always get a DVD later, right? You can always find that DVD later. So what you need to do is declutter your life. Okay, so the reality that you need $1,000 in the bank needs to be more important to you than having that DVD that you can watch anytime there in your living room. Okay, so we're gonna Dave Ramsey talks about gazelle intensity, right? He talks about, he says, have you ever seen a gazelle get chased by a lion and just go, ooh, look, a lion, and kind of tiptoe away? Well, no, of course not. When you see a lion go after a gazelle, it's bam, that gazelle is gone, right? So we need to have that same intensity about getting out of debt. If you say, well, I really want to get a budget going, kind of, you know, I kind of want to do this, you're not going to be successful. It's the same as going on a diet or anything else. If you're going to have a goal, then you need to stick to that goal. And honestly, in all parts of your life, if you are not able to set goals for yourself and maintain them and see them through to fruition, then you're never going to be successful in anything you attempt. It doesn't matter if that is a personal weight loss goal, a spiritual goal, an education goal, any of those things. You have to put in the time. You know, if you're going to get a degree, you have to go to class. You have to pass those tests. You have to do those things in order to get that degree. If you're going to lose weight, you can't eat at Krispy Kreme donuts all the time, right? You have to eat less calories, exercise, right? So being on a budget is no different. You should have a goal in mind of what you're trying to accomplish, and for most of us, it's to have some clarity about where our life is going financially. Most of us have things we want to accomplish, but we can't get there because we don't know what we have. We don't know how to get there. And a lot of times money is the issue. Now, a lot of people make plenty of money. The problem is not the money. The problem is they spend it. It just seems that by the end of the month, they've blown their entire paycheck. And they once the bills are paid, there's not only nothing for tithing left, there's nothing for the church, there's nothing for charitable giving. They're stuck, right? So by doing this and having your money spent in a budget before the month starts, it will give you clarity, and it'll really open your eyes to what you're spending money on. If you want to see what's important in your life, you can look at your checkbook. You can open your checkbook, and it will tell you what's most important in your life. I know a lot of people, especially when it comes to talking investments, they say, well, I just don't have any money to invest. And I will say stuff like, well, do you smoke? You know, or do you have a sweet tea every day? And they'll say, well, yeah. And I'll say, okay, well, a sweet tea is $2, right? And you know, $2 a day, 365 days a year, we're talking nearly $800 a year for just one drink per year. That's one day, just lunch, just one drink. Well, what if you have a latte that's $4 and you have one Starbucks latte a day that's $4? Okay, well, that's $1,200 a year. Well, what if you smoke you know, a pack a day, and a pack costs you $8? Well, now you're talking $2,400 a year. Okay, so just that one little thing, when you multiply it out, can be a large thing. Now, I know a lot of people will say, well, Matthew, that just sounds, you know, I know what you're doing there, but it just sounds crazy, you know. Well, those are little changes. Like, we haven't even jumped into your budget yet. These are just very small, incremental things that you can do. You know, do you want to have cable TV as bad as you want to get out of debt? Can you do without your cable TV for a little while? Can you restructure your cell phone plan to save yourself a little bit of money? Can you not eat out as often? Could you take off just one day a week that you would normally eat out and have a sandwich that day? Those are very, very doable, and of course Dave Ramsey has tons of, in fact, you can go on YouTube and watch his videos. He has some very entertaining things that he has done over the years, and there's several of his full courses on there. If you haven't done the Dave Ramsey Financial Peace thing, I very much encourage you to do that so that you can get out of debt. And I know this isn't supposed to be about debt necessarily. It's supposed to be about credit repair and budgeting, but getting $1,000 in the bank, there's a lot of ways to do that. I say sell something. Doesn't matter if your budget is a multi-million-dollar budget and you're a Fortune 500 company or you're an individual. There's only two ways to work on your budget, and that is to either increase income or decrease expenses. Okay, those are the only two options you have. And again, it doesn't matter if you're a multi-million-dollar company or if you're just an individual. You can either make more money, right, or you can cut some things out of your life that are not necessarily important at the time. Now, some of you think, man, I can't watch SEC football. I have got to have cable TV. Or I have children. I have got to have cable TV. Well, you probably didn't grow up with cable TV, so you don't have to have it. But again, those are going to be priority things that you discover on your own about what is important to you and what is not. Do you have to have a new car? Do you have to have the latest phone? Do you have to have HD TV to watch the football game? You don't have to do those things, but those things are available. Okay, so let's look over at making a budget here on the Dave Ramsey site. Very easy. And they have budgeting tools and Dave's budgeting forms. See right here? Highlighting it there, Dave's budget forms. And I've already got it open up here. This is his monthly cash flow plan. A budget is very simple. Okay? You do not have to overthink this. It is basically how much money you make minus what you have spent in bills, and then you have what is left. Now, most of you don't have anything that's left, okay? Well, and most of you don't write down all your bills. You'll say, well, I have tithing, I have power, I have water, I have cable, I have my health insurance. Well, then you start thinking, well, what about your property tax? Well, my property tax, it comes out every year in October. Between October and December is property tax. Well, that's built into my payment with my house payment, so I don't have to worry about that separately. Say, okay, well, what about your car tag? Well, my car tag is due in June in the state of Alabama, and so you can take up that car tag and say, if it's $100 for my car tag, well, that is, I can take that $100 that's due in June, which I know it's coming in June, and I want to make sure to put that on my June budget. Now, if I want to separate that out, I can take that $100 and divide by 12 months, and each month I can save towards having that bill paid in June. Now, to make that a little more clear, what's coming up? Christmas, right? Christmas is coming up. So every year, people let Christmas sneak up on them. Oh, it's Christmas time again, right? Well, what if they had saved $100 a month? Well, they would have $1,200 for Christmas. Well, $1,200 for Christmas for most people would be amazing, right? That would be a trip to, you could have a trip somewhere really nice, have some really nice presents for $1,200, or pay off some debt. But what do people do? People let Christmas happen to them, and then because we are in such a debt-crazed society, that's going to cause people to have this guilt, right? We have this guilt at the end of November, right? We have Black Friday, and that leads us into the Christmas season, right? And what do? Well, people go and they put it on their home equity lines of credit. They put it on credit cards. And then what do? They spend all of January, February, March waiting, working their honeys off to pay for what they spent in December instead of paying for it along the way, right? Now, one of the things that I think that is really great that Dave Ramsey does, and I'm just going to share a little personal testimony for myself, is he puts tithing at the top of his budget. Okay? So look here at the monthly cash flow plan. Tithes is the number one first thing. Now, what is a tithe? Well, for most WASP, which is a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant, right? For most Americans that practice Judeo-Christian values, we are a majority Christian nation, and so this stems back to the Bible, and in the Bible they talk about giving of the first fruits, right? Well, I am a believer as well as Dave Ramsey, and so I believe that when I pray for blessings, that those blessings are coming from God, and so it is only natural to flip our budget. Most people will pay all their bills, right, and they'll get down to tithing, and they'll say, well, we don't have any extra money to give to charitable giving. Now, you're giving $100 a month to your cell phone, and you're giving $100 a month on your cable bill so you can watch football, and you're giving, right, and you see where I'm going with this, right? You're spending money in places you actually do have the money. What about that $4 latte you get, right? We said, if you do a $4 latte, that's $1,200 a year. Well, man, that's a lot of money. And if you can ever unlock the ability to tithe, your income, not only your income, but your priorities will be the way they're supposed to be. It really is more blessed to give than it is to receive. And so if you can, in fact, my income tripled once and I'm not saying everybody's income will triple, but my income tripled the year after I started purposefully giving. And it really, just as a side note, I would encourage any of you guys, if you ever do any, especially here in November and December, we just took a truckload of clothing to the Salvation Army, and there's going to be a lot of soup kitchens and homeless shelters open. I encourage you to go and participate in one of those. It will really make you understand how really well and blessed we all are. Okay, so as we go down our budget, right, all you're basically doing is writing down your bills. Okay, now this isn't going to be a perfect budget. Some people think, well, how am I supposed to know what my light bill is? Well, because last month my light bill was $100, and this month my light bill might be $150. Well, it's okay. This is a guide. Okay, this is just supposed to help veer you in the right direction. Okay, so this is not going to be a perfect thing that you write one time and you never have to write it again. Okay, this is an ongoing, living, breathing thing. Okay, and you might say, well, I hardly use the gas during the year, but during the winter we have a gas furnace, and so our gas bill goes up, right? So that makes sense, right? There's some things you can anticipate. Some things should be pretty stable. Your cable, your internet, your cell phone, those things should, and here in our municipality, our water and our trash is combined, and so those should be kind of easy. Those should be on there, and you could do those each year. What you might not know about is you might not know when it comes to food or clothing. You might not know how much you spend on repairs. Like, well, I don't spend when repairs come. That's when I spend it. Well, you should have a reasonable expectation that your car is going to need its oil changed every 3,000 to 5,000 miles. Your tires are going to need rotating, and you're going to need new tires every couple of years. Right? Those things should be reasonable expectations, and you can put those into your transportation budget. You see there, transportation or clothing or food. You can put those in there. Well, what if, let's say for food, let's say you put yourself down for $100 a week was going to be your grocery budget. And you get to the end of the week and you actually spend $150. Well, that's what an eraser is for, okay? This is, again, not a perfect budget. It is a guide that you're going to use, okay? But the goal is to put all of your money, all of your paycheck onto this form before your month starts. Okay, now why is this important? It's important because impulse buying is what's eating people up, right? It's those things that are not planned for that eat people up. And if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. I know you've heard that, but on I do large budgets for companies when we go to purchase property, and when you're talking about $100,000 budget or larger, you have to be able to plan out how much money within expectation it's going to take. And not only that, but we always include a buffer. And I am normally very liberal on my buffer, which means if I think it's going to cost me $1,000, I'll go on and make sure to put back $1,500 just in case. Okay, because remember, it's not a matter of when it's going to rain, it's how hard it's going to rain. It's going to rain, but when it hits, how hard will it hit? Okay, now some of you are going to write your budget and you're going to be behind from right off the get-go, right out of the gate. You're going to say, well, I don't have money to tithe. I don't have money to put down in all these things, right? Well, you might need to do a come to Jesus meeting, they say, and reprioritize what's important to you. Okay? To some of you, you've never written a budget. You've never put down your bills, and you don't really know what you do. I have so many friends, sadly, that have gotten divorced over the years, and money is almost always an issue. But they don't communicate about money, even though money is, is listed as one of the number one reasons why people miscommunicate in marriage and get divorced. You would think that would be a very high priority for people, but a lot of times it's not. And this can really affect you. Now, some of you are going to be spenders, and some of you are going to be naturally savers. And I encourage you to do, again, what Dave Ramsey talks about, which is a blow fund. This is an envelope full of money. You know, if my money is if I get $100 a week and you get $100 a week, I'm including that if I want to buy a pair of shoes or a purse, or if I want to buy a DVD or whatever, that I get to spend that $100 on whatever I want to spend it on. It's kind of like a cheat day for a diet. You know, it's really hard if you can never have a piece of chocolate, right? But if you can have just a Hershey's Kiss or a little Reese's cup, that can help you get over that hump, right? Okay, so it is about being disciplined to some degree, but this really is a freeing thing. Now, I know some of you can feel the stress, like the thought of sitting down with your partner and writing down all of your bills is you're not looking forward to that discussion, right? Because some people like me, we just want to take over, right? We want, why did you spend that money, right? So remember, this is a communication. This is this is supposed to be something that's helping you. But just imagine if very quickly you sold some DVDs or some junk that's in your garage, or got you an extra job delivering some pizzas for a few weeks to get that $1,000 in the bank. Then you're on a budget, and you might honestly have more money coming in than you think you do. And if you do, that's awesome. If you don't, it will tell you very quickly whether or not you need to, because some of you are really struggling. Some of you, you know, it doesn't seem to matter how much money comes in, it's gone. You know, there's some child, we have flu season, and children get sick, and you know, every other day you're going to the doctor's office or buying medicine. You know, I have elderly family members that every other day that seems like their health coverage covers less, and they have to come out of pocket more, and their you know, their bills come, their medicine costs more. Well, those are all things that are going to happen, and we have to be able to make a plan. But if you're not making any plan, then that's going to cause you stress, and that is the cause of a lot of people's stress, because they don't have any freedom. I talked to a young lady the other night who said that she was so excited she had $10,000 saved. Well, I said, well, how does that feel? And she said, well, it feels pretty good. And I said, well, that's right. So if her transmission went out tomorrow, yeah, that would be a bummer, but she has the money sitting in an account waiting for that emergency. And she just has an inconvenience now. She no longer has a major thing happen. Some of us in this room, if a transmission went out, we would know what to do. If your credit is maxed out, or you would just put it on a credit card or go to a family member, you know, we've had some tough times over the last few years, really starting at 9/11, and then we've had multiple recessions, and we really haven't gotten out. And I would tell you that I don't see us getting out of the recession for the next 10 or 15 years. I think it's going to be a few more years. You know, the baby boomers, which is the largest portion of our country wealth-wise, they lost nearly 40%. That's almost half of their wealth during this last economic downturn. So there's a lot going on. And then with mechanization and all the other things that are going on in our country, you know, I don't see us having any booms anytime soon. So being disciplined with what you have is very, very important. Okay. Let's look one more page down here. I want to go over here to the debt section. If you see where my cursor is here, under debts, the good book says that the debtor is slave to the lender. And this could not be more true. You know, banks and credit card companies, they are not your friends. They do not care about you, okay? And they are more than happy to send you that pretty card, and you can have your cat's picture on it, and they'll be glad to sell you that car and all those things, right? Because you deserve it, right? You need it. You need a vacation. You need a trip. You need a new car. The United States is based on perpetual debt. That's what makes up the majority of our GDP is debt, and we are the most consuming nation on the planet. Even though we only have 300 million Americans, we consume more than any other country in the world, and much of our financial stability is based on our consumption. And so what have they been trying to do? What have all these stimulus plans and everything been trying to do? They've been trying to get us to spend more money, right? That's why we can't finish one holiday before we have another holiday coming out that is not perpetuating us to spend, right? So we just got out. We didn't even get out of Halloween. It seems like we haven't even gotten to Thanksgiving yet, and they already jumped to Christmas, and they're already putting on the Christmas sales. And then they're going to have the after Christmas sale, and then they're going to have the New Year's sale, and then they're going to have Valentine's, and then St. Patty's Day, and I mean it's going to be this. It's just a constant, perpetual marketing tool to try to get you to spend your money. And every year they're going to come out with the latest greatest car. The new iPhone. Oh, it's the 4. No, it's the 4S. No, it's the 5. 5S, 6 Plus. Right? So they're just going to continue doing that, and you should expect it. Okay, you should expect that they are going to continue trying to sell you these things that you do or do not need. Now, there's nothing wrong inherently with having your latest, greatest phone, but the ability to pay for those things in cash are going to be so freeing. I can't even describe to you the feeling it feels like to have debt off your shoulders. There's some of you that have student loans that are, 6 figures. Some of you are having to live at your home, parents' home, and having to work full time just to try to pay for your student loans. Okay, and those you can't get out of with bankruptcy. Now, some of you have claimed bankruptcy, and I know they sure did make it easy. They send you stuff in the mail constantly saying, "Oh man, you were taken advantage of with this debt, and you should just walk away." Well, I don't believe that. If you have had to go through bankruptcy through your fault of your own or not, I would tell you to forgive yourself and stand tall and do your best to never be in that situation again. However, if you have not gone through bankruptcy, I would encourage you to pay off your debts. Now, it might seem a mountain's load, but my grandmother used to tell us that she was going to move this mountain a teaspoon at a time, right? So I think that you will be a stronger person at the end of the road if you can find a way to pay off that debt. You certainly won't get yourself into debt again if you next time if you go deliver pizzas for a year, and you'll never want to go into debt again. You won't even want pizza for a while, I'm pretty sure. But those student loans and those credit card debts, student loans can be pretty reasonable interest-wise, but credit cards are very high, and my goodness, do never go to one of those payday loan places. I have a tenant that I had to evict out of a house, unfortunately, and she left these papers from getting one of those payday loans, and the loan was for $150, and the interest rate was 299%. So you need to, it just sounds terrible, but they pop up everywhere. Need cash? It's easy. Need a title loan? Right? It's super easy. And they'll be glad to give you that money, but it's a whole lot harder once the ball starts rolling, because our credit score, this will get into credit a little bit, as you don't pay those loans and are late on those loans, those things affect your credit. Well, now credit is being used when they present you insurance, when you go to rent a place, right? When you go to find a house, when you go to do any kind of loan, your name is attached to a credit score. Okay, so I would tell you to go to creditkarma.com, creditkarma.com. It's a free service, and you can get your credit score, and you can see your score, and you can print off your credit. However, if you know you have 4 credit cards that are all maxed out, and you have 2 student loans, and you have a mortgage and a second mortgage, and home equity line of credit, a boat, a car, an RV, right? If you know you have all that debt, worried about your credit score at the moment is really not going to do much. Honestly, your goal should be to get out of debt as fast as possible. I would tell you to sell the boat, sell the RV. Do not have a timeshare. Get out of credit card debt as fast as you can. If you have 1,000 DVDs sitting in your living room, you need $1,000 in your bank account more than you need 1,000 DVDs. Okay, those things are going to allow you to have freedom. I have my best friend. He and his wife get to go to travel all over the world, and part of the way they do that is they put themselves on a budget. And even though they make a really great income, certainly compared to the rest of the country, they are disciplined with only spending $100 a week on themselves, but they put back several $100s a week towards their travel fund. And so every 3 to 4 months they travel to Cancun or, halfway around the world. And it's so funny, people's reactions to say, man, those people sure are lucky. Boy, they sure are lucky. Well, no, they're not lucky. They're purposeful with their money. And, of course, thankfully, he's one of the best tithers I know. And really, people, you can't outgive the Lord. And if you are planting good roots down, right, these are things that are going to affect your children. Because my mother and my father worked really hard and helped pay for my college while I was in college, and I worked full-time to help pay for my books and my car and my housing, all those things, I don't have that debt. I have multiple friends that are, in their mid-30s, early 40s, and they still have $100,000 in debt, have multiple student loans for them people coming after them. So having debt is one of the most unfortunate things you can have if your goal is to retire one day. It is the opposite. Now, I know some people say, well, man, I really want to live. Well, I want to have a boat. Well, I always say, why have a boat when I can have a friend with a boat? I used to have a friend who he had to have him that wave runner, and he got him a wave runner, and I got to use that wave runner way more than he ever did because he was busy working to pay for it. So, there's something to be said for having nice things, and there's nothing wrong with having nice things. But I hope that you will fall in love with getting a deal. You can go right now and look at an RV, and those things are very expensive. But, we have an Air Force base here where I live, and these guys came back from their tours of duty, had this big chunk of money, bought themselves an RV, and then now they've been stationed somewhere else, and the RV is just sitting there not being used. And, of course, they're for sale. You can get in any Craigslist or Backpage.com or any of your local bulletin boards, church bulletins, whatever, and there are tons of ATVs, RVs, boats, right, all this stuff that can be purchased for cash, and you will get a better deal with cash. So all of these things actually lead to freedom. That's really the point, is if you can learn to put yourself on a budget, go through the Dave Ramsey plan, watch Susie Orman, watch Dave Ramsey's show, take advantage of these tools. It will actually free you up to have some amazing experiences because you will no longer, when the economy hits those highs and lows and ups and downs, when you have money in the bank and you have no debt, it really changes how you feel about things. It really does. It's very, very freeing. To have in fact, I have my transmission in my truck has been slipping for about 3 years, and I'm not concerned about it. I'm not concerned because the money is sitting in an account waiting for the transmission to go out, right? So it's going to be, it's going to it's going to be an inconvenience for a day is what it's going to be. It's not going to be a financial issue because I've planned for that event. Okay? So, I remember I used to have an aunt before she passed away, and people would say, well, she's got the money. I just don't know why she doesn't spend the money. Why does she live in that house? Why does she dress in those clothes? She's got the money. But the difference is when she would go and buy herself a new truck every 5 years, she'd pay cash. She'd go and buy a brand new one and pay cash. And my father was able to do that as well because he would make payments to himself. He had no debt, and he would make payments to himself for that future debt, and then when he would go to get a new vehicle, he would pay cash for it. And you always get. In fact, I think he bought a truck and a car this year, and I believe he got a new Ford F-150 for probably $12,000-$15,000 off of the retail sticker price because it was a closeout model and he had cash. He was writing a check. So all of those things are available. Let me look down here and see if there's any questions you guys have. We'll open it up for questions. Again, the chat area is in the bottom right hand of the chat window down here. Okay, no questions? All right, well, I sure thank everybody for their attendance. Again, this has been Matthew Morrow with MorrowInvest.com. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me from the MorrowInvest.com site. You can email me at morrowllc@yahoo.com or morrowhomes@gmail.com. You can find me on Facebook. You can follow the website here at MorrowInvest.com and follow the contact page. Be glad to answer any questions you have. If you need any help with getting your budget straight, I'll be glad to offer any help that I can. And I hope you guys have a blessed night. I hope this was a good night for you. Thank you so much for allowing me to present to you. Bye-bye.